There we go. All right. We are live. I'm here with Mark. Is it Switzer? Did I pronounce that
Switzer.
correctly? Switzer.
Yes, sir.
A professional host would have asked that question before he clicked the live button, but you're stuck with me. With
That's
that
right.
said, I was just saying we're going live. Are you nervous? And you said, wow, a little bit. I don't do this very often. But don't you worry. This is like getting into an airplane with an expert pilot. You're just riding next to it. You know, I'll carry the load for the most part. You just get to relax and participate, but I'll do the heavy lifting. Cool?
Beautiful.
Cool. So Mark is somebody that I've gotten to know over the last about 8 minutes. What's weird for me is he's a client of mine. He's been part of Remodeler's Autopilot, where we've been sending out consistent emails, social media posts for a decent number of months. I think for the last 6 or 8 months. How's that going for you, by the way?
Going pretty well. On your Facebook posts, I know I get several shares, every time that you post it. So that's a couple times a month. I'm getting exposure through that. And I know that your monthly emails have definitely funneled some people to my website.
Awesome. So, yeah, and you're seeing some people that are clicking on the email and leaving Google reviews, and that's good. That's good to hear. But it's still weird for me. I've been running my business for 12 years, and Remodeler's Autopilot's kind of the first thing I don't know. It's still a little weird. So I'm glad we're getting a chance to get to know each other. And as part of the Remodeler show today, it's just kind of a little bit of a mini coaching call. I've gotten to know you in just those 10 minutes of understanding kind of where you're at. And you had 3 specific questions, kind of topics that we can dig into. So the goal in today's show is see if anybody else wants to chime in. Maybe other people have questions. And for us to get into these 3 things. 1, how do we utilize technology more effectively? How do you do that in your business? You wanted to talk about how do you set better expectations for your projects? And then you wanted to talk about agent in place renovations. So why don't you tell people kind of where you're located, just maybe a little bit about the structure of your business, just that little 30-second description, and then we'll get into that first topic.
Sure. Name's Mark Switzer. I'm with Pro Remodeling. We are a...
You sure it's not Switzer?
Pretty sure.
Okay, all right. Carry on.
We are a local veteran-owned and family-operated general contractor here in Central Florida. We are based out of Lakeland, and we pretty much serve all of Polk County and just a little bit beyond. We focus on kitchens and bathrooms. That's what we mainly do. But we are a residential contractor, so we do have full house builds. We have 2 full houses built up right now. We do a lot of garage conversions, mother-in-law suites, things along those lines. But bathrooms is definitely our niche. That's what I enjoy doing the most.
Okay. And you put a lot of your marketing efforts around, you know what, yes, we do these other things, but I really want to put my message around bathrooms and kitchens.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. We do not try the shotgun approach. I try more of a sniper angle to where I want to target certain people. I want people who have those older bathrooms. I want people who have, the 1970s homes, or they're landlords and they've got rentals, because there's a lot of things we can do inside of a house to really spice it up and to spruce it and give it a little bit of a facelift without breaking the bank.
And are you finding that the tighter you get, the more sniper you get with that messaging, with showing examples of that type of work, with talking about that type of work? Are you finding that is squashing other opportunities that you could have, or is it, it's bringing us more of what we want, and it's still not necessarily turning other projects away? What have you found with that strategy?
I've found that once I get into the house and they see how we work, they start asking questions. Well, what do you do? Do you handle this? Because actually on my yard signs it says kitchens and baths. That's all it says. Yeah. So when people go by my yard sign, that's what they see. But they call me up going, hey, do you do this? Because they see my vehicles everywhere. I've been told probably 3 times in the last month, I've seen your vehicle, 5 times in the last couple of weeks. I see your yard signs,
because you have 7 or 8 of them out there.
Yes,
vehicles.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And I mean, Lakeland's not small, but it's not huge either. There's about 220,000 people here.
Okay.
So yeah.
It's pretty big.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I lived in LA for 6 years too. So
okay.
To me, it's a smaller town, and that's what I like about it.
Gotcha.
But
so the reason I was digging into that is just to hear your experience with it, and also just for remodelers listening to this, it's scary sometimes to narrow down your niche, to narrow that message around what your ideal client is. But if that is a strategy you want to employ, there's so much power in saying, you know what, we do this and this. Right. We don't do this, but we do this and we do this. And you can set up your systems around that, your processes. You're more efficient, you're more productive, you're more profitable. It attracts more of your ideal clients and maybe even repels non-ideal clients. So I'm glad you're doing that. And I would almost encourage you, hey, if you're kind of putting some chips in that and betting on that, what does it look like if you were to go more all in on that? If you're having success with that, what does it look like to go even further all in on that?
To where I'm only taking bathrooms and kitchens?
Not necessarily, but what would be the next? Perhaps yes, but what would it look like if man, that strategy's working? What if I did that even more with my messaging, with my marketing? I think that's interesting for you to think about and consider. What would it look like if you did that even more? Because you're having success with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned veteran owned. How does that play into how you talk about your business?
Well, we're here in the South. I mean, there's a lot of people that back the military. I mean, I'm U.S. Navy vet. I spent 6 years in electronics technician. So my degree is in electronic engineering. I used to build radars and nav systems, computers for the military.
Wow.
So for me to do, this stuff, it's what I grew up doing. So I started with my dad back in 1993.
Okay.
I was a kid, but at 15, I'm doing my own floors. So I took all that experience, and then I took what I learned in the military with my leadership, the work ethic, the dedication, things along those lines. People see that you're a vet, and, more often than not, we're honorable, upstanding people. I don't, try to espout that, I'm just, all Navy vet and, all this other stuff, but I do prefer to, buy American. I do prefer to, employ vets and work with them as much as possible.
Yeah. What I like about that is, one, I knew you were a vet because you were calling me sir. You do it naturally, but I'm like, I'm just Kyle. You could, but just that respect and that training, right, and all of that. So when you introduced yourself as veteran owned, I was just curious, how that goes. And what I heard there was, it's who we are, it's who I am, and it influences so much of how I operate and how we work. And you've also found that in your market, that is a message that it's good for you to share that, because it gives people some insight into who you are. Interesting. And you would say that the Detroit Tigers, the Lakeland, Florida, where you're at, the home of spring training for the Detroit Tigers, the mighty Detroit Tigers, who lost, I think, like 26-0, like 18 to 0 yesterday. Are you a Tigers fan?
I don't actually watch any sports.
Okay, fine. I've been to Lakeland, and I have one of my most wonderful childhood memories is in Lakeland, Florida.
At the Merchant Stadium, huh?
At the Merchant Stadium, and I got an autograph from my childhood idol, Alan Trammell.
Cool.
Anyways, this show's not about me. Let's get into your 3 questions. Utilizing technology effectively. So it's kind of a topic. Tell me how you're using it, and where are you struggling, or what are some specific topics around that or questions around that?
Okay. So many guys that do what we do, they are stuck old school. And I'm not saying there's necessarily anything wrong with that, but how much time do you spend getting in your car, driving to a customer's house, doing your spiel and your song and dance and all that, and then driving back? I can curtail a lot of that because I can get on Zoom. I can have a meeting just like we're doing. You can walk me around your bathroom. You can send me photographs, and basically off of the photograph, I mean, if you've done this long enough, you can tell approximate
ballpark ranges. Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
That looks about 5 foot. As long as you can do that, you can give a semi-accurate ballpark figure of what you're looking for. And that's how you kind of direct the conversation with them. Like, look, man, we can come in here and we can blow this out. We can get some marble in here and, heated floors. We can just really, really blow your mind away for, $30,000-$40,000. Or we can come up with a more economical approach of, $10,000, $15,000, just get it, functional again and looking nice. So, what kind of conversation makes sense to you? And then we kind of leave it
Mark, did you hear that nice pause that you gave? You gave them the options and what sounds good to you. And because you paused there, I know that you do that in real life too, not just on the Remodel Show, right?
Talking.
Right, that pause, how they respond to that is so powerful. I think a lot of times we make a kind of a this option, that option, and then we just keep talking versus giving them the chance to go, well, I think we're closer to this or this. Have you found that homeowners are turned off by you doing that initial conversation via Zoom?
Initially, yes, absolutely. Because before I would sit there and I would talk to people, and I would just 1 second. I'm on a web show right now, man.
Oh, okay.
I'm on a show right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's good. You just sounded. I would say you probably sounded cooler than you have in the last 3 years in that moment. Pardon me, I can't talk. I'm on a live web show right now. I'm on a TV. There's remodelers from around the country watching me, listening to me share my knowledge. Carry on.
So initially, yes. When I first was trying to, roll this out, this is not my idea. I mean, I was with a group called Contractor Sales Academy, and I learned a lot from them.
Tom Reber.
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
He's an amazing person. He has a lot of great information, and I've really picked up his way of doing stuff, and it's incredible.
He's been on my podcast. I've been on his, and solid. Yeah. So okay. So when did you start this?
Last year, about August.
Super interesting, right? We've been talking about it a lot in the pandemic times and the COVID times of going, you know what, let's do more virtual meetings. You're flipping this all the way back to last year where it still wasn't normal. It wasn't, now it's even more approachable for people. It makes more sense, right? There's millions of people who are now used to doing it.
Absolutely. Yeah, they've gotten so used to working from home.
Cool.
From working,
Rhonda thought that was funny.
Yeah. So it's really a great thing. I mean, I'm like, we have technology, let's use it. There's been so many advances. There's a company called Canvas.io. I can go through and I can scan everything. You go into a house, you can take all the measurements you can think of, but you still forget one thing somewhere. Take the technology of that lets me go back and I forgot this dimension from here to here, and it gives me an accurate, size. So we use that. Pinterest. When I'm talking to a homeowner, the wife generally doesn't know everything that she wants. Well, I kind of like this, but they're very visual people, and I'm just like, hey, let's hop on Pinterest and see what's there, so I can kind of see a representation of what it is that she's imagining, because I want them to envision this space. I want them to taste it.
Mark, you know what I just realized is that these topics, maybe you have questions on the other ones. I didn't realize my man Mark was going to be teaching. I thought you were going to, well, Kyle, you're teaching right now, man. Keep it up.
I thought that's what we were doing.
That's great. That's wonderful.
I didn't know that I was supposed to have the questions.
I mean, you can have questions for me. I mean, I'm just got, but if you want to say, look, I'm doing this, and this is working, I love it. I was just thinking to myself before this call, I'm kind of tired. I've been working my face off promoting these courses and meeting after meeting and stuff. This is wonderful. I'm just sitting there saying, yes, that. And they're hearing it from somebody that's doing it. You're out there and you're reminding us, we've got it. Let's keep embracing technology, not only because it works, but it's saving you so much time, not only just sheer time of you traveling around, which saves on gas, which saves on wear and tear, which saves on this. You're not losing, a lot of know, like, and trust you're building. You're still providing a good service. And yes, you're protecting your time, and you're also keeping projects moving. The cycle time between the time that we meet with somebody and the time we sign a design agreement, or the time we sign a project development agreement and a contract, we need to always be working to reduce that cycle time. The longer it drags on, the less energy and excitement they have about working with us. And that's also probably, if you're using technology on the front end, I can see where, let's do a Zoom call because they're out of town. We can still meet. We can still get this moving and keep this moving. Excellent. So, what are a couple other things you're using on the technology front?
I've been wanting to get some video testimonials. Those are great. I've seen other people use them. You see the people in there. You know that this is not just like a paid review
actor. Yes,
they have those.
Yeah.
But you go out there. Hey, they did my bathroom. This is what it looks like. I'm so happy. These are the key points. This is what it was like working for them. I think those are a lot more effective than just a black and white written testimonial review. Another thing that I like to do with technology is, you know how it is. I do the paid advertising with you. I do my paid advertising with my SEO and everything else. But I also look for anything free. Instagram, YouTube videos. I mean, it's free to sit there and do a quick how-to. If you can pique some interest from somebody going, hey, you know, you can do this to fix your house real quick. If it has any extra difficulty levels, or you know, you got questions, give us a call, and I don't mind helping you walk through.
You put some keywords in there of where you're located, and that's popping up. You know, one thing you mentioned when you talk about website and you're making investments, before we click the live button, you were talking about that. And one thing that I heard you say was, you know, when I've been looking at it over, I don't even know what time period you were talking, but you said 3,500 Google visits this year. Okay, good. Sure. You know, so 3,500 Google visits, and you're comparing it to before, and you're seeing growth there.
Right.
I don't care what number you said. The fact that you, as a busy remodeler, understand that part of what you need to do, and part of one of the things you need to be aware of, maybe you find somebody to do this for you, or maybe in your case you're looking at it to know if is it growing. What are those key marketing metrics that you're paying attention to? I know when somebody says I've had 3,500 visits, right after they said I'm investing a lot in marketing, I'm hearing somebody that is holding those dollars accountable, that's paying attention to results. And I would just encourage you to keep doing that. And I would encourage everyone listening, if we're spending money, if we're investing money, we've got to make sure it's working, and we have to be measuring it. What gets measured gets improved.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Well, I was going to say the last thing,
please.
Which is the technology.
Yes.
Virtual assistants. I picked one up about 3 weeks ago. She's great. You know, all these little things you sit here and think about as a contractor. I don't have time to do that. I don't have time to do this. Sit there, you call the virtual assistant up. Hey, do this, create this document, email this person, take care of this marketing. She's started my postcard marketing. You know, hey, pardon our dust, we're around, we're almost finished. Did you see anything? So she's handling all these other minor details that, you know, it might seem small, but it has such an impact in the community to where all of a sudden you start hearing, man, I'm seeing VP everywhere. I'm seeing, whoops, wrong side. See
Other side,
VP logo everywhere. I forget it's
Mark. That was amateur, Mark. A pro knows that I can point, but you'll get used to this. You might even be taking the way you're going. You might even just be taking my job here soon, which is fine.
Oh no.
You mean you're killing it? You're killing it. So where did you find the virtual assistant?
Rocket Station.
Rocket Station.
Company that does that. Yep.
Okay.
They're very affordable. Full time, you're looking at about $10 an hour. I mean.
Stateside or overseas or what?
The company is stateside, based out of Texas, from my understanding, but they use the ladies from the Philippines.
Okay.
But she's great.
Yeah. Shout out to Joanna and Cassandra, who were two Philippine virtual assistants that I had for many years, that allowed me to, I don't have a lot of money to invest in getting some help, but it turned into something that allowed me to get systems in place and just take care of a lot of that $10 an hour work that I didn't have time to do. That's what you're talking about there. Yes, getting creative with and finding affordable help, and what are tasks that I can take off my plate and hand off to somebody else. That doesn't automatically mean I have to hire somebody, put them on payroll, etc. There's options. There's a lot of remodelers who have more just stateside, you're in Florida and they're in Kansas type arrangements, 10 hours a week, 15 hours a week. It can make a huge difference. All right. So we're 19 minutes in. This is a 30-minute show. We got to move on to the next topic because I'm excited about what you're going to share related to setting expectations for your projects.
All right. I like to set the expectations with everybody, with my customers, with my subs, my employees, and with myself. Because I try to hold myself accountable to make sure that, I'm making sure that I do everything. So I've got my own checklist to set my expectations. I like to make sure that we have a definite timeline. The customer knows what's going on, who's going to be there, and when. Change orders. If change orders come up, we let them know ahead of time. This is how we handle them. As soon as the change order shows, hey guys, we got to stop for a minute so I can contact the customer, let them know I get approval. I can have them sign it digitally. That's another technology thing that we use with Adobe. Hey, email it over and they sign it and send it back. Boom. That way, everything's covered. You got to cover your butt because otherwise they won't pay you. You know, I've come across that somebody. Oh, well, we talked about that, but I didn't actually authorize it. Well, yeah, you did. Here's your signature.
Or we all know it is a best practice to pause the work, and sometimes maybe it's not possible, but most of the time it is to pause the work. Hey, let's get this written up, let's get their approval, and then let's move forward with it. Every remodeler across the fruited plains knows that is a best practice.
Yes.
But a lot of them aren't doing it, and it's because it is a little bit of a pain in the butt. It is, okay, I've got to write it up. I'm juggling already 3 things. But what you're talking about is you need to do it. 1, it covers your butt. 2, it's professional. We collect the money right there, you know, and we just, you know, we're gonna have to write it up one way or another, and it's so much better if we do that right away. But even before that, what I'm hearing is not earth-shattering stuff. What I'm hearing is tried and true, consistent communication. We've got to take that more seriously and value that and understand that a huge part of the value we deliver to our clients is clear communication. And it's also required with all, it's in how much of your military background and just that has influenced how you go about setting expectations. It seems like those two probably float together pretty good.
Probably quite a few, because we did do leadership training in the military, and, you know, about holding people accountable, giving people reviews, you know, criticizing them, but doing it, you know, in a proper manner to where you're not breaking them down. You're teaching them how to be better.
Yeah.
So all that comes into play.
Interesting. So keep going on the setting expectations.
You already said the communication between, you know, the workers to me, from me to my general manager, the project manager, to the homeowner. You got to have those free-flowing lines of communication. I know that we have a group chat. I've got everybody in it, and we text at the end of the day, every single day. I get, you know, pictures of what they did, description of what they did every single day. And the last thing for the expectations is cleanliness. One of the biggest things that I've had people comment on. I've had work done here and there, and it's sweep up at the end of the day. If you can leave your work site, to where it looks clean and presentable, they are much less likely to start nitpicking little stuff. And it's such a small thing, but it makes a huge impact in their mind. This is a clean contractor, and that goes a long, long way towards getting future work from them and referrals from them.
That's excellent. You know, the phrase I always like to use is, like, you know, running a successful remodeling business isn't about some magic bullet. Finding some magic bullet. It's a combination of a lot of little things. And that last thing, you know, it's a little thing, but that's where the rubber hits the road. And having a culture and an approach to the way that your team does business is huge. And we need to be reminded that those little things is what gives a client, is what changes a client from, yeah, they did an okay job, to just being a raving fan, being somebody that is like, it was an excellent experience. Like, I had a major remodeling project done, and it was an excellent experience. It's weird. It's so rare in our industry, right? So the more you do that, every time you work your face off to give a great experience, to continue to communicate and deliver, it is strengthening your business. You have somebody else out there that's going to talk about you, repeat work, referral work, reviews. You know, every single one that you accomplish strengthens your business. That's a good reminder to continue to push forward. It's hard. It's hard work, right?
Oh yeah, it is. I mean, just that can be a full-time job.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. The third point, aging in place renovations.
Aging in place. Yes. Here in Central Florida, we get all the snowbirds. Everybody wants to come to Florida. So the houses aren't set up for, you know, the elderly. You don't have, you know, the 36-inch wide doorway.
Let's not call them elderly. The more seasoned.
The more seasoned.
Think of a better word than elderly, but yes, carry on.
It's certainly better than old people.
Yeah, you know, perhaps. Fair enough.
The more I age, the less I look at 60 as old. So.
Right. Young man. Yo, 60? You're turned 60? Young man, right?
I'm 40 right now, man.
Yeah, young man. All right. Yes.
Tub to shower conversions. Pulling the tub out, putting in a regular shower. You know, making it curbless. You know, putting in grab bars. But the curbless thing, you drop out the concrete, drop it down a little bit to where they don't have to worry about stepping up and stepping over, because it gets hard to pick your legs up sometimes. So doing that, grab bars, adding a seat into it. We can always do seat additions. widening your doorways and expanding into adjacent closets. Because I know a lot of these older houses down here, they've got those linen closets that are right next to it, so you can really kind of expand it so that if somebody does need a wheelchair in there, they got that 60-inch ADA compliance to really, get in there.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of other things you can do to where somebody doesn't have to go out and buy a new home. I have a lot of people that ask, do I need to move? You don't need to move. We can definitely make this work for what you need. Handheld sprayers, to put onto the shower wands for, if they are in a wheelchair, ramps, taller toilets. There's just a whole lot of aging in place that we can do to make things work and be efficient for you
and still look good, right? And still,
absolutely.
Right. It feels like, 5, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, we just had so much energy behind certified aging in place, right? Get my CAP certification, et cetera. And it feels like the last 3 or 4 years, and maybe it's just me, but it just feels like kind of our industry wide, it's got a little quieter about that. And this is just a good reminder that people don't know what they don't know. And they love their homes. And if we can create content, if we can show examples of how we're able to keep people in their homes and livable, and that is something that can excite people and that can encourage people, and they can see how making that investment comparatively to having to go somewhere and pay whatever they need to pay in order for assisted living, the economics of it makes a whole lot of sense too. So just some, what I heard there was some good reminders on a topic that just, it seems like it's getting a lot less attention lately, but still is just as important. Whether you're in Florida, which yes, you have a higher percentage, but I don't care where you are across the country. It's something that we can continue to educate homeowners on.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, that was excellent. So you did mention, I said, have you seen the Remodeler show at all? And you said, no, you haven't. So I was kind of expecting you to have these questions and to be putting me on the spot and for me to answer questions, because that's how these have usually worked. But what you did was you came on and you taught. You showed up. Here's and you shared. Like, this is working for me. This is what a lot of, so that's just a new format that we're going to use on the Remodeler show. It kind of happened on accident here, but that's all right. Have people come on. Like, you're skilled at this. You're living this. You're doing this day in and day out. And there's just part of the reason I'm doing this show is let's continue to be reminded of best practices. Let's continue to be encouraged. Let's hear something that Mark said today and said, I've kind of taken my eye off of that, or I haven't really embraced that. It might be the change order thing. It might be, I've got to just do a better job of communicating and being more clear. Could be a whole variety of things. So, if you were to share with the audience, maybe kind of, and put in the comments for those of you watching, what your takeaway was. What was your takeaway from what we covered today? And then Mark, if you were to kind of say, here's a main thing out of anything we talked about, or something else that comes to mind, that's just a really good reminder for my remodeling colleagues and brothers and sisters out there. What would you say?
I guess don't be afraid to reach out to other contractors. We need to stick together and build each other up as an industry standard, because there are so many, cat and dog, undercut, smack talking, really, I try to keep that down, because I want everybody to learn. I want to build, all of us up, because we're all out here. We're all trying to make a living. And, if I can educate somebody else on, hey, let's try doing stuff this way, and it becomes an industry standard, that just betters our lives. So if we can, I'm not saying, form a union type thing, but if we can kind of stick together a little bit, it helps, because
it's going to rise everybody up.
Do what?
It's going to rise everybody up.
Exactly. Because we know this work, a lot of times it doesn't pay what it should, so we, do what we can to make sure that their customers getting a deal and we're able to make money.
Excellent.
That's how it is, man.
Excellent. And then my final takeaway is just, let's not overlook the fundamentals. I was talking this morning, and what you were kind of saying just reminds me of it, talking to just a longtime client, and he's really busy right now, and communication with his team is a little off, and there's just a little friction going on. And where we went was, time out, how's your Thursday morning meeting with your 2 designers and you going? I knew what he was going to say, because communication hasn't been good. Well, we've just been skipping it, right? So back to fun. Okay. And what I told him was, all right, there's your action step. Get back to having that regular meeting, so that, because when you do that, communication is on point. So that's a big reminder, is just focus on the fundamentals. You can never go wrong by just doing the fundamentals more consistently and stronger. And a lot of what you shared was just really zeroed in, sniped, using the word we talked about earlier, sniped right on fundamentals. And I really appreciated that. Cool. Mark, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for having me, man. It was
oh, we got Chris. Been a great conversation. Sometimes a half hour is too short. Yeah, but Chris, Mark's a busy guy. Chris, is that you in that picture? Sun's out, guns out. Look at this guy. I don't know if that's photoshopped or what, but dude, it's been interesting as I've been looking at, as you see, when it comes to working out, and so I'll leave it with this. It's kind of a weird analogy, but like it takes work to look like that. Yeah. Like everybody's like, oh, I want a 6-pack. You're not going to think your way into a 6-pack. You actually have to do the stinking work. And it's the same thing with a remodeling business. That guy's got it all figured out. They're doing so well. Look at what this is. And we can beat ourselves up for that. I want to do it. You got to do the work, right? It takes time, it takes focused energy, it takes work, but it's doable.
Right. And it's like we said earlier, it's the little things. There's a book called The Compound Effect. And that will really change your life, because if you do very, very small things, they don't take hardly any time at all, but it adds up into huge, huge changes. Yeah, just like remodeling, always working. So thank you, Chris Mosley's Guns, for letting us end on that passionate, clear encouragement. All right, Mark, we'll catch you later. Thanks so much.